Okay, great. So last week, well, the first 2 weeks, I like your Kobe background, but anyways, the first 2 weeks we talked about what entrepreneurs are, right? What does it mean to be an entrepreneur? And then this week, the first week we talked about what it means to be an entrepreneur. Last week we talked about who entrepreneurs are. So today I kind of want to talk more about like the technical pieces of it, right? So you have an idea, you are interested in being an entrepreneur, but then it's like, what do you do, right? So I hear Zainab, your idea is, well, you're already putting your idea to work. You have a business where you're selling cosmetic products and you're selling other provisions. So you took your idea and made it come to life, which is excellent. Genesis, I hear you're in agriculture. Can you tell us, Genesis, what you do in agriculture?
Agriculture? Well, let me, if I will be interested in agriculture.
Say that again, Zainab?
Yeah, agriculture will be a beneficial to me because my course I'm doing presently is related with agriculture course because I'm in School of Natural Resource. I'm studying forestry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm a forester in future. So let me say the courses are related because in agriculture, they embark on growing crops, they grow up crops, harvest, you utilize it for business or even if they embark on commercial farming. So by me doing forestry, if I embark on establishing my own plantation forest for business, for commercial purposes, so it will be a good contribution to my own career.
That's excellent. So,
Yeah,
so you're taking the practice of what you're doing in school and you have a plan already to do like a commercial agriculture forestry business, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are doing both the practical and the theory as well.
Okay, great. I think as part of this program, something I do want at least you guys to do is like come up with whatever idea you have, put it in some sort of business plan, and we can talk about the components of a business plan later. And then I can help you refine what that business plan looks like to make sure that it's streamlined across the board, right? Because I think from Sylvester last week, you have to kind of put your idea on paper and then build a roadmap for yourself. And that will help you kind of get the skills, the people, and everything that you need to put together. A lot of times people just jump into business and they don't really have a goal or an idea. They're just like, oh, I see this opportunity, and they're not able to maximize on it because they haven't thought through the problems or the situations, which is why developing a business plan, a roadmap in some ways is very important. So thanks, Dinah, for sharing that. What about you, Genesis? I know you have an existing agriculture project. Can you share a little bit about that?
Hello once again. Yeah, I've been thinking about agriculture since back then because I think I have an agricultural background. My father used to be partially, I can't say he used to be an agriculturist partially because his grandfather before him owns a plantation, which is the cocoa and coffee plantation, and also the palm oil palm plantation. So it's like a family business. These have been in the family for like ages now, but there is a problem that has been lacking, intensification and diversification of the resources. That is why, we have not been, there have not been no productive form. There have been no expansion, there have been many backdrop. There are so many challenges which I've highlighted so far. But for me, actually, what intrigued me, what prompted me to go into agriculture is the benefit of the agricultural aspect. Taking a look at it, I thought it why I say, actually, you can be a professor, you can be a graduate, you can be whatever qualification. These things, your children cannot inherit, none of them, Just imagine, a professor, if you die, you can die a professor. Your children cannot inherit your professorship. They can only inherit your money, that if they want to use it wisely, they can use it. But if you are engaged in a productive business, your children can inherit that business. They can only inherit business, they can use it to their advantage and try to make it as a capital. Or let me say, most of family business, just like the Bill Gates, these are family, Bill Gates, the McConnell, these are family businesses which have thrived, it's in the family. And most of the businesses that are successful today is on family basis. They inherit it, you try to intensify, come with your own idea and try to see how best you can add to the value. So that is what prompts me, because my father my grandfather before me owns the plantation. He passed it on to my father, but my father have not been that too keen on agriculture because he was in the military, he was a soldier, so he has not been keen on agriculture. But for me, I saw it as a challenge, this is it. Each family should have a business, not only have a family business. This family business should be in the family, because even if my father was a major in the army or RSM, I will not inherit that position. Upon retirement, my father will hand over each and everything, even if there is a capital, I can only inherit investments, good businesses, which I can also pass down to my children, which if my children are that serious, they might intensify it and try to see how best they can use it to their best advantage. So that's what actually prompts me to go into agriculture. So I've seen the cocoa and plantation farming as a productive sector. I think for now, $100 per bag, it's over $100 per bag, each bag of cocoa plantation. But we have about 10, 15 acres of cocoa plantation, which have been in the family. Also the oil palm plantation, they are 10, 15, but the agronomic practices, the subsistence farming and many other factors have contributed to the backdrop of the agriculture of the cocoa plantation. But as for me, with my education, because I'm reading agri-economics, I'm looking at the economic aspect of agriculture. With my education, my career, I'm planning to actually try to see how best I can use that to my advantage, try to intensify it by come with another inputs, with my resources, try to intensify. Then later diversification, that is engaging in different other sector to create other sources of income. So, but I'm working actually on the business plan. I've actually started the work, there are even nurses because in the intensifications, I'm at the intensification stage. I'm trying to nurse some other plants, try to expand the business. Most of the things that are lacking, I'm at the intensification stage. Most of the things that are lacking, I'm trying to add these things, like adding the amount of acres, trying to see how best I can buy some mechanized inputs like machinery, fertilizer, and pesticide or insecticide to actually boost my productive outputs. My education, my education has kept me. So like I've not been that too keeping up on that. But upon graduation, I'm planning and I'm working on the business plan, and I'm hoping, with this training, that this might help me actually to have a better understanding. So in the long run, I can later apply it upon graduation, go into entrepreneurship as a full-time entrepreneur, as a business person, as a worker, try to use it to my best advantage.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing all that. What about you, Al Hassan or Samuel? Like, are you doing anything in agriculture? If not, are you working on any long-term business ideas, even if it's in another sector? Unmute yourself. Al Hassan, I feel like you're saying something, or Samuel. There you go.
Yeah, hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Samuel.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting it low coverage here. I'm not hearing you that much. Even I'm having some problem with Genesis, so I didn't hear him.
Oh, okay. I was saying,
Are
are you currently, so the question is, are you currently working on a business idea, or do you have a business idea that you're interested in doing maybe once you graduate?
Yeah.
Okay, can you share a little bit about it?
Yeah, I've started working on it since I was in year one or so.
Okay.
Yeah, I have my basic business I'm doing on campus, stationery. I have some printing stuff. Students are having a lot of constraint when it comes to printing their material, right? Their assignments or so. So I decided to bring up some ideas on stationery, of which majority of the students are coming in order to do their printing. The constraint is too much on campus because majority of them cannot afford a printer. So, it's not easy. As a student, you have to photocopy your notes, you have to prepare your notes for exams, you have to prepare assignments and so forth and so on. So I reason out, I think over it. So I bought a printer. I'm doing my just basic stationery work on campus. So that's my own business I'm doing on campus, of which I'm hopefully hoping in the way to establish it after on campus. So I'm working on it as of now. And I believe I will try to establish it in due time because I believe working as an IT as a software engineer, I think that's my first priority to work towards short beam. And I started working on it, and I believe I will establish it in some areas. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay, great.
Yeah. So that's my own business idea I'm working towards as of now.
Okay. So quick question, do you currently have the printer on campus and you print for your classmates and other students right now?
I didn't get huh?
Say that again?
I said the volume is too low. I'm not getting you. I don't know. What you said?
I said, I'm going to text it in the chat. I said, do you print currently for other students right now?
If I'm doing my printing on campus, that's what you mean? Yeah, I'm doing it there. Okay. I have printer. I have 2 printers on campus. I'm working my stationery.
Okay, excellent.
On campus there. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just hoping to establish my business dream out of campus as well.
Got it. Okay, that's an excellent idea. Thank you. What about you, Al-Hassan? What are you up to?
Hello.
Hi.
Okay. Well, for now, I'm helping my dad because my dad is running a business.
Okay.
Building material business. Yeah.
What kind of business is it?
Building material.
Building materials.
Yeah. So whenever we have recess or when we came for holidays, so most of the time I help him doing his business, but I don't see this business, though the business is beneficial, but I'm not too keen on this business because we are very large in number. So I will not be focusing on this business. My own role towards this business is that whenever customers came to buy business, I'll be the one that writing the receipt. So, but I have a business idea because he taught us that, or he told us that whenever you want to become an entrepreneur, you should not focus on the money. Money is not the first thing to focus on. So I have the initiative, I have the idea. So The business I want to embark on is bakery. You know, we the Fulans, we like doing bakery because we have vast knowledge on that. But
Wait,
it
so,
will
so
be
hold on a second. So what, I missed the business idea. What is the business idea?
bakery, baking cakes, baking breads.
A bakery,
Yeah,
right? Okay,
yeah.
that's
The small
excellent. Can
boys
you
like
bake?
it. No, not yet. Though I have people that that's the
Oh, it's
business
okay.
idea that I would like to implement. You know,
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur, I will not be dealing with those archaic bakeries. You know, I'll be doing the modernized one. You know, making people getting their stuff most easier and at affordable price. You know, because you told us because to become an entrepreneur, I have to have the idea and the skills. So I'm working on it. You know, I have the idea, but the
Okay.
capital.
And what are you studying in school?
I'm studying business and information technology. Me and Samuel, we are doing the same course, and Samuel is my roommate.
Okay.
Yeah. So I
Okay.
have the initiative. Yeah. So I'm praying that whenever I graduate, when there is capital, I will embark on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is good. So,
It will be a modernized one, not that old type, because we have the archaic bakeries here. You know, I will try to invent. You know, I will implement. I have
yeah,
the idea. Yeah.
that's good. I like the idea. Okay, awesome. So the reason I ask you guys, because so it doesn't really, sometimes like the degree that you study isn't always going to lead to the business that you have, like, you know, it's like how Hassan, if you're studying business information, it's going to help you. If you know technology, you know business, when you have a bakery, it's going to help you a great deal because you'll be able to put the infrastructure and technology, you'll be able to understand the overall landscape of business to develop your business idea. Um, and while you're still in school, I do encourage you to try something small, you know, and try something out. So like the idea that Samuel, you're already kind of embarking on this printing company, you saw a problem. If you listen to everything that everyone says, you guys come from different approaches. It seems like Samuel, you saw a problem on campus, with your classmates, you created a solution, right? Genesis and Al Hassan, you guys look from the family structure, you know, your family's had some sort of business and you're seeing different opportunities out of it. Zainab, it seems like you're taking your education and you're looking at the marketplace and you're saying, here's a potential opportunity. So it doesn't really matter what you end up doing. The point is you're either trying to solve a problem, number one, or you see an opportunity and you're trying to take the skills that you have. Now, once you have the idea, right, then the next thing is really to like put it down on paper. The reason that's important is that process helps you actually build the team out, right? Like it helps you build the roadmap. Like, how am I going to get here? How am I going to get to funding? How am I going to like get to the next stage? You heard from Sylvester, the reason his business really grew is because he kept changing and kept building on his idea, right? It was flexible, it was quantifiable. So I think today, for at least this next 30 minutes, what I really want to talk about and have you guys do actually from now to next week. Hold on, let me let Mohammed in. From now to next week, I'm going to share with you guys a basic template for a, okay, we lost somebody. I'm going to share with you guys a very basic template to take your idea, right, and put it on paper. So if you guys can take the idea you told me about today, whatever you're doing, and put it on paper for me, then we can talk about, then I'll schedule like a one-on-one with you guys that are on the call, and we'll talk through kind of like your idea. Because I want to make sure that before you walk away from the program, that you're able to at least have some sort of roadmap, some sort of process. And then I'll share with you guys, because we don't have enough time to go through all of the big parts of business planning, but the small, at least the executive pieces of a business plan, like what does a business plan actually look like? Why is it important? How does it help me build a structure? How does it help me build a business? And then that will actually help you think through like, what are the marketing components? I need skill sets and, all right. skill sets and people wise, right? And then you can slowly, between now and graduation, start to build on top of your idea. Because for a bakery, for example, I have friends in DC, they have a lot of bakeries, right? And one of the women that owns the bakery, she's like you, Hassan. She actually, her background is in IT. So she used to work for Deloitte. She used to work for all these big IT companies, but she loved the idea of a bakery. Her and her husband started a bakery. They ran the bakery for 5 years. And then right before Corona, they actually closed the business. But for 5 years, they did really well, right? Now she went back to IT because her kids are getting older. She wants to do something else. But the point is, the piece of it that they didn't do after I talked to her is they didn't really write the plan together. And so they didn't realize that the location they chose is not the best location in terms of how many people frequent it, how many people come through that area. So it's important before you actually invest a ton of your own personal money that you really think through the bigger challenges, right? With yourself and with other people. Hi, Mohammed. Can you hear us? I just want to make sure you're caught up. Okay, maybe you can't hear us. All right. So I'm going to share my screen so we can just talk about a couple of different things about the business plan and about why this piece of it is important, okay? All right, so in business, as you guys all know, the most important part is really developing the plan. Like, how do you get from point A to point B? How do you, take your idea and move it to the next stage, right? Whether it's an idea that has already different parts of it already moving, right? Like some of you already have existing businesses that you want to scale, grow, expand. Other of you guys are working in different industries from the idea. Other of you guys are like slowly starting off on the process. So the business plan is actually very important. So it's kind of like a step-by-step for how an entrepreneur, the owner, actually expects to turn the idea into reality. So our next stage is really going to focus on you guys taking the ideas you already have and starting to build the plan, right? And then once you build the plan, then you're going to work on the prototyping side of it, which is really the sample projects, the small things that you can do in order to get yourselves to the next level. I do want to check in and see to make sure that everybody understand like the point of a business plan. Hi, Frank. Okay, so does everybody understand? Do you understand the point of the business plan? Has anybody written a business plan? Al Hassan, Mohammed. Very hard to mute. Okay. Okay, Samuel, Al Hassan, anybody, do you guys understand the point or do you know what a business plan is? Has anybody written a business plan? Mohammed?
Any business plan?
Yeah, have you ever written a business plan, Mohammed?
Yes, yes, ma'am. I have a business plan.
You have a
business plan is for me to. Yes, ma'am. I have a business plan.
You have a business plan? Do you have what kind of business did you write it about?
What kind of business? I want to just open our cafe, a computer cafe. That's the business plan that I have in mind. And two, I want to have an electronic shop that I want to start my business with. But because I'm just in the university presently, I cannot afford the money to just start that business. That is why. But that's my business plan that I have in mind.
Okay, so with your business plan, did you already write the plan, or this is what you want to write about?
Come again, come again.
I said, did you already write the business plan, or is this what you want to write your business plan about? Is this your idea, or do you already have a business plan?
I already have a business plan, but it's the financial constraint I'm facing. Financial constraint I'm facing. Because presently I'm in university, I cannot do any other business because it will disturb my studies. Right? You understand me?
Yes, I understand you.
Fine. So I cannot do any business for now because it disturbs my studies.
Okay.
But my business plan, yes, my business plan is I want to just have a cafe where I will use the computer to practice, to do my work as a cafe, or let me say an electronic shop. Yeah. Are you getting me? Because
yeah, I got you. Okay, so what are you studying in school?
I'm studying engineering, agricultural engineering.
Agriculture engineering?
Yes.
Okay.
Agricultural engineering.
Okay.
But after completing my agricultural engineering, my plan is I want to read electrical engineering. Electrical engineering because I am very much impressed on electronics. I'm very much impressed in electronics. That is why I want to read electrical engineering after completing my agricultural engineering program.
Okay.
Because my intention, first of all, my intention is to do information technology. But there is no way for me to do it. So I decided to read agricultural engineering at the university.
Okay, sounds good. Okay.
So, all this, some of us we have plans, but it's the financial starting. We don't have capital to start our business. So that is why some of us don't start any business. We just concentrate in our
got it.
studies.
Okay. Right. Okay. Thank you. What about you, Ferenke? What business idea?
Start any business because of the by me to get my lunch, and from here I will try to raise some money for me to pay my fees. Presently I'm on top of just raise some.
Okay. Thank you, Mohammed. I understood what you said. Ferenke, what about you? What's your business idea? Hi, Abdul.
Hello?
Yes. It's hard to hear you, Ferenke.
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Okay, all right, well, we can't hear you. Okay, Abdul, what about you? What's your business idea? So we're trying to figure out, one, we're talking about business plans and why it's important to have a business plan. How do you take your idea to make it a reality? But then really what I'm interested in learning from each of you is what ideas or business plans that you want to develop. So Abdul, do you have a business that you're trying to start or an idea for a business or a goal towards a business?
Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon. Did you hear what I said? Did you understand my question?
No, I didn't get you, man.
Oh, okay. I was asking, do you have a business idea or a business kind of plan that you're already working on?
Well, like actually, I also have one which is a cinema, opening up a cinema area.
So you're saying,
I see that in
so you're thinking about opening up a
my
cinema?
area where I live. I see people.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I understand. You're saying opening up a cinema? Okay, you froze. Okay, I guess he's frozen. Okay, well, when you can get unfrozen, just let me know what that idea is. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I have a better understanding of what everybody wants to do in terms of a business, because once you kind of have already, some of you already have a business idea and a business plan in terms of what you want to do with your business. So I want to make sure that like the next step. So what I'm going to do is, because we only have 15 more minutes before the guest speaker, in an email, I will send you guys a template for what a business plan looks like, right? And then I will send you two. I will send you a large template for a business plan, and then I will send you a more concise, smaller template for an overview of a business plan. What I want you guys to do for the next week is to just take the smaller template and put your idea into paper for me. Got it? Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, and then once I have those, then what I'll do is I'll review them, and then I'll set up time individually with each one of you, and we'll meet about your plan and talk about your idea a little bit more. Because what I want to do is, even though you're students, this is actually the best time for you guys to start flushing out the plan itself, like doing your research, getting the pieces together. I know, Mohammed, you said money is a challenge. Money's not really the challenge. The challenge is getting these pieces together first. So even if you have a business plan, that in itself is value, because you can take a very well-written business plan can get you money from someone, right? It can get you an investor, it can get you a donor, it can get someone that says, hey, this is a really great idea, I'd like to be part of it, so maybe I will lend you some of the technology, you pay back interest on it, something like that. So I know a lot of times, given the marketplace, everyone thinks money is the challenge, but you've heard the last, two speakers explain how they had zero money and still ended up making tons of money from $0, right? They took their ideas of technology, they took their ideas in media and communication, regardless of what their degree was, and turned around and built out businesses. And you'll hear the same from today's speaker, Roland, who talks more about agriculture and agribusiness, and he'll give you kind of the process, the journey that he went through. But it doesn't really matter what your idea is, right? The point is, before you actually put your idea into practice, you need to make sure that it's written in some way and that you think through it. That's the whole point of a business plan, is that you think through the idea. It's not just for paperwork's sake. It's so that as you say, okay, I'm going to start at this size, then you have to equip yourself and say, I'm going to start at this size, how much money is it going to cost me? How much profits am I going to make? What kind of advertising am I going to have to do in the community, right? What kind of branding am I going to have to create? What products do I need early? What products do I need late? Where can I save? What kind of people do I need to bring on? Does that make sense? Like why this piece of it is so important, right? So you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to have a business, but then what do you do next? Even as a student, you have to be doing something. You can't say, I have a business idea and I'm going to wait 3 years. When I graduate, then I'm going to put it together. There's no point. Like high school students are now doing businesses and putting business plans together and creating companies. So you guys are college students. You can definitely do it regardless of what your market does not have. And the benefit of actually being in your market is that there is so many challenges that I think you guys are going to be the next generation to fulfill and solve a lot of these challenges, right? Samuel, your company might today start as a printing company just on campus. Next thing, you might have the largest printing company in all of Sierra Leone, printing not just, you know, homework, but printing signs and billboards and everything else. Same thing, Hassan, your company might start off as a small bakery, maybe delivering to some of your classmates. But then for all we know, in the next 10 years, you could be the largest bakery with like a store in every chain all over the country and maybe expanding into other marketplaces. So, right, that's the goal, right, Al Hassan? Exactly. So I think whatever ideas you have to think beyond like, okay, today I start off here, today I start in a small project and I do little things, but over time you're going to grow. That's just the natural part of business, is as long as you add value, right? You're not doing something for the sake of just doing it, and you do it well, right? And your reputation is so important in business. You know, I have a lot of business friends who they're so greedy about money that they don't care about the quality of the business and they don't care about what they do. And then it's a small community. It doesn't matter what part of the world you're in. We're a global community. So people will hear about, you know, they messed this deal up for so-and-so, or they didn't do this well, and nobody's going to want to hire them over and over. I think the benefit of my company is that we kind of have a lot of integrity. We do have a lot of integrity in the work that we do. So if we're going to do something, we're going to do it well, right? Even if it pays us or if it's free. If we're going to do something and we commit to doing it, we're going to do it well. We're going to do it at a high quality situation. We're going to make sure that we deliver and that we bring value. Because as long as we can add value to customers, clients, you know, students, whoever it is, then we know that we're going to continue to do well. And then a lot of my business, I don't do a lot of marketing. I don't do a lot of advertisement, actually. I don't do any, actually. A lot of my clients come because of our value. So other clients will refer other clients, customers will be repeat customers, and that's how we grow as a business. Now, we're still going to have to add marketing. We're going to have to add all these things because that's what I want to do to grow it. But because we have always decided that we're going to produce at the highest level, we're going to do the best business that we do. Doesn't matter if it's a free service or a paid service. Our company has grown a lot. Even during Corona, we doubled our business because companies liked us. The governments that we work for liked us, right? Because they knew that if you give the business to us, then we're going to deliver, period. So that's kind of the value for me in my company. So I want to make sure you guys start thinking about value and not dollars, right? Because you add value, the dollar will naturally come to the table, right? Because people are going to hear about your product, they're going to hear about your service. And then two, you got to get your mind to think differently. You know, if you want something and the money's not there, you have to start thinking, well, how can I make a deal where I can still make the money and get the thing that I need? So like Mohammed, you said, I don't have the money to buy the electronics, blah, blah, blah. But maybe you partner with a company that already has electronics and you make a deal with them and say, you know, you give us this electronic upfront. When we sell it, we give you back the money. You take a percentage, something like that. I've seen so many deals and I've had so many situations, even for myself and my clients, where the money was not on the table, but we figured out different ways of making the dollar happen, okay? So I want to just conclude with repeating kind of the next step, which is the next step I'm going to send you. So this is only for the people that are here today. So I'm going to send you guys in a separate group email. I will send you 2 different business plans. One is a long one, and that's a template. And then the other one's a very short one, right? Very concise. So you're going to take the small one, the small business plan, the shorter one, maybe like 5 pages or so. And you're going to fill it in with your business idea, the one that you want to grow. Okay. And then you're going to answer those questions as best as possible. Do a little bit of research. You have 1 week between now and next Saturday to get it done. I know you have school. I know you have all this other life stuff. So just try to get it done. That's why I wanted to make it shorter. And then once you send it back to me, just email it back to me. I'm going to set up like time one-on-one to go over it because I want to make sure that like we talk about it, figure out what that looks like. It's hard to do in a big group setting, so it's easier to do one-on-one because I want to make sure that you guys are actually building on your plan now and not just when you graduate or like whatever, right? Any questions? Questions about business plans, questions about kind of the next step? Does it make sense? Give me a thumbs up if it does. Makes sense? Makes sense, okay. Does a week seem doable? Like, does a week make sense for you guys?
Yeah, as for me, the it's okay because I've actually done business plan back in college. We did it. I think it was study also as a model business plan. You know, I did some of the business plan, and the one I'm working with actually, that is my cultural business plan. I've actually worked on one. You know, I submitted it, and it was approved by my lecturer. You know, I'm working on one for my business, my agricultural business. You know, just like I said earlier on about value chain, the agricultural business, the agricultural sector. I told you about our family business. Okay, about the business, the family business. You know, I'm trying to intensify. You know, by making value chain as a priority, because you see most of those products, when you add value to them, trying to see how best you can add value in the so many processes, you see you can have a greater return on investment. So value chain is my key priority in my next business plan. You know, how to add value. And I'm working with one of my friends who is working at the AVDP, Agricultural Value Chain Development Program. You know, he's working on that. You know, recently, I think it was at the university, they did a research on oil palm, you know, a new variety which can produce actually best breed of oil palm plantation. I think it was endocap. The mesocap is more puffy. You know, they did a research. They even planted about 1,000, 2,000, which they are not in presently. So I did. I'm in touch with that of my friend who is working at the AVDP. I'm trying to see how best I can bring that variety. I can introduce them to my business actually, because I'm not seeing. I told you earlier on that I'm not seeing about 1 or 200, you know, in the long run. I will call my uncle in the provinces so you can see the pictures. Polythene bag is about 1 bag for the nursing of the oil palm. I'm nursing some, but I actually want to introduce this variety. I told you about value chain, how best I can improve. So I'm working on that. So the business plan will be for me, but I actually have I have done it 1 or 2 times. You know, I've done it before. A business plan. I'm working on, and value chain actually is one of the things which I'm doing my dissertation on.
Oh, good. Yeah. I mean, I think
cocoa plantation, because yeah.
So just since, you know, the next speaker is more on agriculture. So with agriculture on the continent, like you said, one of the biggest, even for AFDB, like African Development Bank that you're talking about, or the African Union, or basically any large African, even the Africa Free Trade Agreement, the biggest piece is the value chain, is like moving away from selling hard commodities to making sure those commodities turn into something like the next level, right? Because instead of selling it to the Dutch raw, at a raw product, and then they sell it back to you as a chocolate bar, it's better to sell it to them as a chocolate bar. Then the whole supply chain actually makes money, from the farmer to the manufacturer to the business owner. And so like that is a really large pipeline right now in business that is very available for anyone. So like Zainab, you talked about commercializing of agriculture is very important, moving away. And then the other thing is, in that process, there's standardization. One of the ideal with agriculture companies on the continent all the time. So I have a company that is a Ugandan honey farm. I have a couple other clients that do other kinds of commodities across the continent. And one of the big challenge I find is consistent quality, right? You get coffee from one farm this way, and then the next time it seems different. So it's getting that kind of refinement process, getting consistent quality products, getting consistent value add, consistency, right? And then making sure that, because it is a big waste of money if you send it across the world and then they test it and it's not the same quality. You're gonna lose money, they're gonna lose money. So there's a lot in agriculture you can do, but again, there is a lot in anything that you can do, because whether it's technology, printing companies, it doesn't matter. There is a lot that you can and should be doing. But I do want to see it on paper, not just for me, but for you, right? Because if you put it on paper, if you take your idea and put it on paper quickly now, and you have people that can look at it, right, and reflect and say, you know what, this idea, maybe if you change these things, it'll help you move faster. So it's better to take lessons learned from people in the industry to say, okay, this makes sense. So that's why I want to see your plans, because I also want to share your plans with some of the other guys that have been talking to you, so they can make comments on your plans, right? So they can tell you, will this work, will that not work? What do you need to do? What are you missing here, to make your process a little bit better? Hopefully that makes sense. Do you guys have any questions about anything about business in general or entrepreneurship? Like next week, we'll go back to more elements of entrepreneurship, but I do want to, since we decided to do 4 kind of sessions at first, before we get to the 4th session, I want to see a business plan. And then from the 4th session on, I kind of want to get an idea of like what you guys are interested in learning. So entrepreneurship, like I said, is really a type of person, a type of thinking. And then there is the person who actually creates a business. And so I want you guys to be the kind of person that creates a business, right? Even if you start small, even if you're at school and you're thinking about the process, I want to understand now in the next stage, like, do you want to work on your pilots? Do you want to take the ideas you have and start bringing them to life? Like, how can we support you? Does that make sense? Like what kind of, let me ask it a different way. What kind of support, and don't say financial, but besides financial, because I do want people to move away from this idea of financial. I didn't start my company, I started my company with $0, okay? And now we have more than $0. So, and every person you've talked to started with $0. So clearly it can be done with $0, right? It's just creative way of thinking and adding value. But besides that, what kind of support are you guys looking for? I think we talked about mentorship, so that's going to come up. We'll figure out for the ones who constantly come to these sessions, like who can we partner you with to be a mentor? So that's one piece of it. We'll talk, obviously we're going to work on your business plans to make sure that your plans are at least solid before you get out of here. And then what's kind of the other thing that you guys are looking for and need help on?
As for me, though financial may be the problem, but actually it will not be a problem. You know, it's just a challenge which I'm trying to see how best I can find a befitting solution. But the inputs, which are the machinery, I know the Western world are more exposed, to the first world country are more exposed to this type of technology that's available in agriculture. You know, I want to have more idea about this type of technology. You know, like a great insight about this type of technology that are available, which might help me in my process, in agricultural process, like because in cocoa plantation, I know there are going to be practices. We have so many challenges, you know, but this insight might help me, like in technological insecticides, you know, this insight might help me also. That is one of, even if there may be a chance, I can see how best I can raise some of the funds, you know, I can able to channel it through you so that I can able to purchase some of these implements, which might be of help to me in the longer run. You know, I can buy it online. Somebody, you can channel it so that it can be made available to me. I don't know if you understand.
Yeah, no, I got it. Like you're looking at the technology that will help your products grow, move faster, things like that, right? So whether it's agriculture or physical or even technology for seeds, things like that, right?
Yeah, the insights also. Maybe an handout, or maybe a note, or maybe a journal might help me, you know, some of these things, you know, which I will help to intensify my research process, because I'm doing research also on this plantation. I've done so many research. I can even they are producing one of these oil processing. I will send you the picture. You know, I downloaded it, Soca film, something like that. You know, they are producing this machinery in Sierra Leone that is producing the oil palm. You know, let me watch for the picture in my gallery. I will send it to you on Zoom meeting so you can see it. You know, it's actually in Sierra Leone right now. You know, it's a native technology. Actually, it's very effective in producing this oil palm plantation. Like to process it, try to separate, but one of the problem also, just like I said, value chain. Most of this, doing the processing of most of this agriculture, many things have been lost, many value, because if you watch at the byproduct of this oil palm or this cocoa plantation, the byproducts are many. They have been used for many purposes. If only I can see how I can exploit these purposes, you know, I can use it to my advantage. So an insight to be nice about the implements, maybe a journal or so, maybe in the long run, try to see how best I can raise funds to purchase some of this machinery. That would be nice also.
I have a business partner. He's Cameroonian, but I want to say maybe he's coming to Sierra Leone soon. If he does, I'll connect him to you, Genesis, and you can meet with him. So his entire background is agriculture. He has a large agriculture company. He works with different farmers. He does a lot of like exports from different countries across the continent into the US and into the European market. So you want to meet with people like him because, you know, they started off local and then they grew international. And then he figured out ways to kind of, because there is actually in agriculture right now, actually in any industry, there's a lot of funding available. But again, the funding, they're not going to give you the funding just for an idea. Most of the time, most of the times you have to have developed something. Exactly, that they can look at. So like, for example, a program like this would be considered a pilot program, right? So even for my company, for example, before we do any kind of programming, we always do a pilot program, meaning you see how there's 18 students in the group, right? But it's always the same 8, 9 students that show up to this program. So what you want to do is you kind of want to build a case which says, okay, this is the group you invest in. This is the group you invest time and energy in. Not because the other group isn't worth it, but because this is what shows up. So it's the same thing in your businesses. You're going to have to figure out how to pilot it at a very small level to see where to add the most energy, time, money into, right? Like even for bakery, for example, Al-Hassan, you might make 10 different, kinds of cupcakes or whatever, but maybe only 2 are the best selling and people love the 2. Then you're gonna have to let go of the 8 and focus on the 2. Make sense? Right? Yeah. So anything and everything you do, having a form of a pilot is very important. And then even shadowing, like I believe in shadowing. I believe that if you go do something, go learn from people who are already doing it, right? Go into those programs, learn from those people, see what they did right, what they did wrong, see if you can pick up kind of resources along the way. And then you'll be in a good place.
Hello?
Yeah, hold on. Sorry, I think we're hearing other people's backgrounds.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Hassan.
Yeah, I would like to ask a question. I've listened to different speakers and I also have listened to you. But back then, though I don't have a better knowledge in agriculture, but back then in preschool or junior secondary school, they taught us that agriculture is the growing of what plants and the rearing of animals. But since listening to these people, none of them have mentioned about animals, the rearing of animals. So in this short time or short period, something just came to my mind. I said, if I focus on the bakery, if it didn't work, why shouldn't I also focus on the rearing of animals? Because we have to have vast knowledge. Since this is an agricultural meeting, agri-business, I made it in mind that I'll be focusing on rearing of animals because most speakers or most agriculturists, when I listen to them, most of them don't mention of animals. I don't know.
That's very true.
Yeah. So if I embark on the rearing of animals, most especially in poultry. I don't know if it will be beneficial.
So I think I missed parts of it, but just from the parts I understood, I think I agree with you. So when I think of a bakery backwards, right? Bakeries need very specific ingredients. Like I'll give you an example. In the US, there is like these bakeries that are called, like natural, all whole foods, whatever. So all they use is natural ingredients. There's no like starches, whatever. There's no certain byproducts. For you could, to me, a bakery and agriculture go together hand in hand because you need those products, right? And you have to build a supply chain for the size and the scale of your business. So you're not going to buy like 1 pound of something. You might purchase like 100 pounds of something, 100 pounds of wheat, 100 pounds of cocoa, 100 pounds of coffee, plus. So it is it's agro, your business it is like commerce meets agriculture meets, turns into a bakery type of situation. Agriculture, it doesn't matter, anything to do with foods, you're gonna deal with agriculture one way or another. And having those local connections is gonna be very helpful. In DC, for example, there's a company called Founding Farmers. What they do is they work with farms, right? They work with maybe 5-10 farms around the area, and they buy directly from them. So your food is fresh, the meat is good, the milk is good, everything. Was that kind of where you were going? Because I missed some parts of it.
No.
No? Okay.
What I was trying to say is that I said most speakers or agriculturists, when you ask them about their business,
Okay.
they will tell you more about plantation or farming. They won't mention of animals, rearing of animals.
Okay.
So this short session on this thing, I thought it fit that if I will be embarking on agriculture, I will be focusing on rearing of animals because animals in this our country, eggs are getting expensive every day and then. So I will be dealing with poultry.
Got it. Okay, so you're talking about what's called husbandry, right? Yeah, so you're talking about the sheep and the cows and the lambs, right? The chickens.
And also chickens.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Because most speakers talks about plantation and farming. Mostly they forget about the animal side, So since it is an agricultural business we are talking about, I think it has to focus on two sides, plantation and animals, isn't it?
Okay, but I do want you to understand that I'm not telling you to focus on anything, and specifically it's your idea, whatever you think you're passionate about or you're very interested in or you see an opportunity in, that's the area you should focus. So if you feel like animals or chickens or whatever is a business idea you want to focus on, then do that, and I'm happy to support it. But I do see what your point is. A lot of people focus on commercial farms or different kinds of like agriculture lines. Make sense?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right, Genesis, I think you have your hands raised. He's coming. He just texted me saying he's on his way. But go ahead. Genesis, you had your hand raised. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. With in regards to what we are discussing about these agriculture and value chain and everything, there was actually one thing that hit me when I was working on one of my businesses plan, and one of my friends, we sat together and we had this conversation about business, how to collate, how to mitigate technology and agriculture. That is why the last speaker that actually talked, I think was the man that's in Gambia, Mr.
Hassan.
Hassan, the man in Gambia, when he made mention of technology, I was very happy because these two can go hand in hand. You take a look at the supply chain and the demand factor. These are two different factors, and they have always been at they have always been at war, demand and supply, And you take a look at Africa, the demand and supply factor is actually, there is a huge gap between the demand and supply factor. Many a time, when there is high production, you see there will be increase in supply and the demand will also be increased. At certain point in time, there will be shortages, and we are trying to see how the shortage is one of the key problems which we identify when one of my friends, we identify as a problem in agriculture, shortages whenever no production is in place. So try to see how best we can link this by making an app which we are doing, we try to collate between agricultural communication. We have some of our friends who are doing agri media and communication. Try to see how best we can collect data and try to see how best we can make a database system. I'm even doing a study right now, about database management. And so, on my computer, try to use SPS and Excel to do database, database system to provide a database system for all the agriculturists and see how best we can maintain a constant supply how best, because most of these consumer like the hotels, the many institutions who are consuming agricultural products, they usually have one of the key problems, demand. The demand, their demand is increased, but the supply, sometimes there is a shortage. So there is always this gap, And the only way to mitigate this too is through technological basis, like an app or maybe a software which everyone can connect. We are trying to work on that also. So you can meet, if we have a database system of all the agriculturists, maybe if not all, majority of agriculturists in this country, let me say in different provinces, we see how best we can relate them. Each one of them is producing different type of produce. We can see how best we can meet up to. So as a consumer, you cannot just log into our app or to our site. You say, okay, I want this agriculture, just like you have in the Amazon, but this will be like an agriculture-based market sector. Just like so we are doing the database. I have one of my friends, some of my friends who are doing agriculture communication and media. We are working on that presently. See how best we can mitigate between the demand and the supply factor and provide a supply throughout the whole year. So the problem of shortages will actually, just like the Western world do in regards to fuel, whenever there is shortage in fuel market, they try to see how best they can use up to their reserve. Yeah. So their reserve is the key. How did they do it? They try to collect different oil, crude oil from different countries and store them. So in case there is a spike or there is an increase in price due to external shock or something, they can use that reserve oil to run the country. So that is what we're trying to do. Because many suppliers, many consumers, institutions, exporters are finding it difficult to see how best they can reach out to the lame farmers, and the farmers are not getting enough. There are so many middlemen in this agricultural sector, and we're trying to eliminate that by bringing a fixed sector, which can actually be a sole middleman. I'll not say a middleman, actually, a sole provider for all their needs. If you want, for example, if I'm a deplorable farmer, actually, I can just try to see how best I can register with this organization,
So, okay, let me register with this. Genesis, can I cut you off really quickly just to add to what you're saying? So there's actually a lot of technologies, platforms that are trying to cut out the middleman and go direct to the buyer, right? So connect the buyer and the seller. Yeah, so you should start researching and trying to figure out which ones, and I have to think about them, and if they come to mind, I will definitely email them to you. But there are a lot of platforms, right? Now, again, each platform is not for every country, right? But maybe if you look in your area and there's no platform for connecting direct farmers to direct buyers, then that could be something that you develop, you and maybe some of the guys on here and Zainab or whoever could develop, because I think there is a need for it, right? But you also have to think about what are the technical skills that a farmer, some farmers are a little bit older, they don't know how to use the telephones, to look at their app. You can't develop an app if the person doesn't know how to use the app, right? Or doesn't use a phone. So you have to think about the seller, like age, capabilities, skill sets, things like that. And then who's the buyer? Also on the buyer market,
we have
no, I'm saying on the buyer market side, you have large buyers like Hershey's, these big cocoa companies. And then you have the smaller buyers, then you have the importers who then take the products that they buy and they sell it to small cafes, restaurants, blah, blah, blah. So you kind of have to do a full study of the supply chain to see who exists in the supply chain and where the gaps
are. We have been doing that. We have been doing that, One of the trends which is in Sierra Leone now is the orange money. The orange money, that is mobile money, mobile money when you can use mobile to purchase something, and it actually is gaining prominence in Sierra Leone, for each and every person. The least man actually can use orange money, So if you can link orange money, this mobile company, they provide a services, they provide a service which you can use it to purchase something, maybe top up or maybe buy online credits, DSTV now. So many people actually have this knowledge, and we have seen it as a growing trend, not only for mobile network, as a natural trend. Even in Sierra Leone, we have online market. But I'm saying this is a new knowledge actually, which I've thought about. It is not in place in Sierra Leone to see how best you can mitigate this to between buyers and sellers. Not only buyers, the deplorable farmers, and to link them with the boss there, the manufacturer, the better consumer, so they can have better. It have not been in place, and most of the farmers, trust me, they might welcome the idea because it's a great initiative, and they see how best they can have better profits. Actually, I've done pilot surveying, doing it, but one of the key constraints here is the technology. The technology. We don't have someone, that is why I'm doing database management presently. I'm studying. I will send you some of the picture which I'm actually try to collect data, some of the data. I have some of my friends who are doing agri-media and communication to try to reach out to this farmer out there. But one of the key constraints is the technology, how to build the software. Because in Sierra Leone, if we have maybe software company who can host us, it will be nice, but there have not been any sort of thing that can host some of these things. Like in the US, we have many technologies who can build software, you can host you, for you to run your business. But in Sierra Leone, we don't have. That has been one of the major constraints, which have actually limit us from proceeding further our goal.
So wait, quick question. Hold on, Genesis. So you're telling me, and everybody else can chime into this. So in Sierra Leone right now, there is no technology company that provides software skills, like to develop something from a software perspective or a hardware? Yes, no? Okay. That's a question for everybody. Is there companies locally in Sierra Leone that can produce software products? Genesis, whoever's in technology. Guys, that's a question. I'm just trying to understand. Okay.
That's a question, son.
Yeah, no, that's a question.
Guys, you can answer because
Go ahead.
Yeah, there is no technological company which can provide that software option for you to develop or maybe even host you. They can develop or maybe even host you, except you have to work it yourself. And work it yourself, I'm not a technological expert, So my guys, if you can.
Okay, can I come in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Really, as of now, we are working on it, me and my team, because we have developed so many applications for the department in the university as well. Like online registration, which is a software application we have done. And me and my team are working on it gradually, because since the past month or so, we hang it together in order to create software office. because we have one of our students who is more influential in society anyway. He's a military officer, a captain. So he has given us a free will of which we assist us with office for us to be creating software that people will come in and buy that software in order to use it for different purposes also. So we are on it gradually anyway. But as of now, there is no software office here in Sierra Leone. Majority of the company, when they want to develop some software application, they decided to call the IT specialist. They do it at that moment, and afterward, everything just go on easily. But there is no office for now.
Okay.
We want to create that office as soon as possible.
Thank you, Samuel. Okay, great. So sorry guys for the delay. Roland, our speaker, is here. He actually was in traffic, so he pulled over because he wanted to talk to you guys. So go ahead. So Roland is actually a Cameroonian agribusiness executive, doing amazing things in his home country and expanding that across the different markets in the continent. He's been doing a lot of amazing work, especially in agriculture. They're developing a new school, and I'll let Roland kind of take it over from there.
Okay, Helene, thank you so much. I certainly do apologize for the delay. Yeah, it's always very difficult to introduce myself. But anyways, Roland Formundam here, originally from Cameroon, lived in the US for some time, and then decided to move back home for several opportunities. I think the idea of recognizing the fact that agricultural development in a place like Cameroon was very much lacking, and seeing the opportunities and the advantages that farmers in a place like the United States were getting, I felt it was a huge gap for us to be able to fill in. My background is technology development, so I started way back by developing more of what we consider rural technologies, so simple farm technologies, things like solar dehydrators, solar dryers, cook stoves, green charcoal, and many more. But we had a problem. We were based in the villages at the time, and we realized that of all the technologies that we were developing, the rural dwellers could not afford them. So there was a need for them to be economically empowered so they could actually afford the various technologies that we were offering. And seeing that over 80% of rural dwellers are farmers, we had to look into, okay, what is the technology that we could bring in, or what solution could we bring in to be able to increase the economic potentials. And that's how we came across the greenhouse technology, which of course had a price, but had value. We went on to do several developments of the greenhouse technology. Onto what to give a clue. When we started, we just only wanted to become a technology development company. But more, as we developed the technology and the few people who bought into it started using it for cultivation. But again, they realized that they couldn't produce as much as we did. So they came back to us for the production under the greenhouse. When we started producing it under the greenhouse, people started demanding for the produce. And the few people that we delivered to ignited a bigger demand. So we had to produce more, to deliver more. And with more production came more demand. And that's how the newest part of the company is an academy, so that we could train human resource, be able to manage the different farms that we're having, because we realized that to meet the existing demand, we need to develop more farms. And to have farms that are running, you needed to train people, because in Cameroon today, there is no school that trains individuals in greenhouse farming. So today we have a platform that, one, develops the greenhouse technology, tool that produces food on the greenhouse, the technology. And then the third aspect, which is actually a key aspect, is the training of individuals. We started since 2014, and since then we have been able to, one, standardize the design of the technology so that it is applicable to over 7 ecological zones in Cameroon, and to produce over 24 different types of products. So from things like tomatoes, bell peppers, cucumbers, all types of spices, beetroots, and much more. Our greatest need after right now is just being able to produce as much to be able to meet the demand. But with that also comes with people who want to have the technology, and we continue to do development in that. Just one thing to let you know, we are the only company in all of Africa today that actually develops the technology locally. Any other place you see a greenhouse technology, especially the metallic versions, they are all imported. They are all imported greenhouses. So that also gives us a leverage to be able to adapt a design to a particular zone and for the production of a particular kind of produce. So that's a little bit about what we do. I would like to hear more about any questions I can answer, and also speak into the topic which you guys have. I'll be glad to share more on that.
Thank you, Roland. Can you actually share your journey? Like, what prompted you to leave the US, to get to Cameroon, and like, what were some of your initial challenges? And then some of the individuals here, like Genesis and Zainab, are very into agriculture, yes. So I'm sure they have plenty of questions for you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, I would say the initial genesis of this all was before leaving Cameroon, I left Cameroon. I left Cameroon. I think I was still about 19 years old, and I left Cameroon to the US for school. I had no other intention. But, getting to the US and understanding the realities of the US, I realized at one point, okay, we had many people who had been in the US before us. And at the tail end, everybody wants to move back home. So why wait till 20, 30 years before you want to move back home? Why not move back? It's easier to move back, at 5, 10 years in the US than trying to move back at 30 years. That was the first kick. But the second one was, what do you go back home and do? Cameroon is not a country lined with, roses and milk and honey. So what do you go back to do? And that was the most challenging. I found myself in a place where, of course, I studied in one of the best universities. I had access to good jobs if I wanted to. But again, you realize that there was something that just wasn't connecting. It is the idea of, how do you ensure a happy life, not just for yourself, but for those who are around you, the quality of life, the time you want to have, and everything. And the reality of the United States didn't make me see that. You would have all the money, but you may not even have time to spend that money. And then thinking about home is home. We all want to get back home, and realizing that I could do more at home than in the US. One guy made this, allusion to me that, America is, to become a millionaire in America is 1 in 300 million people, but in Cameroon is 1 to 25 million people. And he asked, where would you want to be? Where do you think you have a better chance of being that millionaire? And there were many things that kind of led to this, but I realized that the ease of getting started, you had a ease was more in Cameroon than it would be in the US, and how much impact you could provide. I think there was a greater opportunity to provide impact in a place like Cameroon than in the US. So, all of this contributed to my rationale of getting, getting quality education and then packing up and moving back to Cameroon.
Great, thanks. And then can you share what were some of the immediate challenges you faced when you moved back, and how did you kind of tackle them?
Sure. I mean, one thing I would say is, if we think about challenges, one would have to write a book, and yeah, because you never know what will happen to you. You do business in a country that is unregulated. You do business in a country where there are no processes. You are in a business in which you are the first and only to start that business. So there were so many challenges. The challenges of just getting started, and then we are in an industry where no one believes in it. No one believes that there is any money to make in agriculture. I mean, who leaves Cameroon, goes to America to come back and become a farmer, So the first challenges of, people acceptance. Your family would not even accept you. I mean, I used to be a pharmacy student, just to throw that in there. And I dropped out of pharmacy school after my third year to pursue business and then to agriculture. I mean, you can think of, you have your mother who was spent for you, and she, 3 years, she knew you'd become a doctor, and then suddenly you tell her you don't want to become that. I mean, they thought I was sick. So the initial challenges was just that of acceptance. Will people even accept you? I came back to the United States, and I did not live in a city. I went all the way to my village. I had family members who knew that I was repatriated. I had uncles who would tell me, hey, Roland, I mean, you want to come do agriculture? We've been doing agriculture for 50 years. It hasn't changed. What is it you want to come change with what we're doing? So there was all of this. So acceptance was big, but the only way to have gotten over that aspect was consistency. We've been very, very consistent from day one to this very day. We've been very true to ourselves, true to the reality. Anybody who follows me on social media understands what I mean by this. We share a lot about our journey. We talk a lot about our challenges, but also we also share vision. If you read my wall 10 years ago, we all just talked about exactly what we have been preaching from time memorial. So that alone has made people believe in who we are, what we are doing, and what we're looking to offer. That is one. The second challenges we had was adoption. In Africa, the technology adoption curve is very, very low. People don't adopt new technologies. They don't care about it, especially if it's brought by one of them. Of course, if it was a white man who brought the greenhouse technology in Cameroon, oh my God, everybody would be on it. But it's one of them. It's a kid they saw growing up. Nobody believes in that, and everybody wants to see you fail before they believe that you actually even brought something into the country. So we had issues like that, and then the worst of it is this: our government imported the greenhouse technology in 1995. And in 1995, they bought those two houses for $1 billion CFA, which is $2 million. So you're talking of a structure that is barely, it measures 8 meters by 12 meters times 2, and they bought it for $2 million. So by the time we came in with the technologies, talking with the government, I mean, I had the Minister of Agriculture tell me straight up that, Roland, this technology is not for Cameroon. It has nothing to do in Africa. You might as well just take it back and think of something else to do. I mean, this is the Minister of Agriculture telling me that, and he challenged me to the point where, okay, if you make this technology to work in this part of Cameroon, I would authorize it for the entire country. But unfortunately, by the time we had the technology where he asked us to put it, he was no longer minister. And those are some of the challenges. That is it. And then the aspect of, you are young, you're just back in the country and you're doing something that is innovative. I mean, I've had a time where a minister told me, hey, who do you think you are? when you bring something like this, you need to come to us. And the fact that you don't come to us, you think that you want to compete. Okay, let's see how you can do it. So yeah, challenges stem from micro to macro. And then even the acceptance, when we started doing greenhouse tomatoes, people would not buy them, because, hey, we don't know about that. We don't even want to hear about it. And then the few that had gotten some idea or knowledge on greenhouse, not greenhouse technology, but on greenhouse gases, they knew it's bad for the health, it's bad for the environment. Nobody wants to see anything greenhouse, they just knew that Roland was bringing something that would pollute the entire atmosphere that was bad. And so, yes, those aspects really played a lot. But like I said, if you want to dwell only on challenges, then you will never do business in Africa. But the moment you begin to see your challenges as opportunities for you to prove yourself, for you to prove the worth of your technology, for you to prove your value, then you begin to win. And today, yes, we have many people who are looking to get into greenhouse farming. We have many people who are getting in. And the acceptance rate now is even higher because people are beginning to understand that the greenhouse is not just growing regular food, it's just being able to meet the off-season cultivation. So today, when we are harvesting 5 times in a year, the regular outdoor farmer would only harvest about 2 times in a year. When we are harvesting 10 tons from a particular surface area, you would only harvest about 2 tons from that same surface area if you're growing outdoors. So people have taken time to understand the advantages that we bring in with the greenhouse technology, the opportunities that there are in there, and the fact that the youth of today, nobody wants to do regular farming anymore, where you need 10 hectares, you need to spend 8 hours in the farm. Nobody wants that anymore. People are more looking for automated and advanced ways of doing farming. And the only way to attract and retain the youth of today into agriculture is engaging them in some innovative way of farming. And greenhouse farming is the way that has proven to really attract and engage youth. Today, 100% of our employees are all youth. Even those who are investing in greenhouse farming today, the majority of them are youth, which means that we are beginning to break, that stereotype that, farming is just for the poor, it's for the old, it's for the villagers. Many people are beginning to see that right now also because we now have farms in urban areas. So it is not something, again, for the rural areas. It is not something for urban. And everyone is feeling as being a part of it. So there have been challenges, but we've been able to use all those challenges as opportunities. And today I think that we're making good because of that mentality and of that model.
Thank you. That was great. Do you guys have questions? I know Genesis has a lot that he would be interested in. So I'm going to open it up to you guys. Zainab, Samuel, Genesis, Al Hassan, anyone? Just unmute yourself and ask the question. I'll ask you a question while they're still thinking through. Oh, never mind. Go ahead, Genesis.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Roland, for such a wonderful insight. We do appreciate it. Actually, that was a nice story. Actually, trying to Africa in general. I'm in Africa. We all understand the story about adaptation. I share that similar story. But this greenhouse gases, I want to have more insight about the greenhouse gases, greenhouse farming, because just as you said, no school in Africa or in this sub-Saharan Africa are actually into greenhouse farming. We want to have more insight, or if you can make provision how to reach out to these African countries to implement this greenhouse farming, it would be nice. I want to have more insight. We do not understand more about the greenhouse. We only did it in schools, but we have never seen the practical aspect, how best it can be used as an advantage in farming, as a comparative advantage in farming. We want to have more insights.
Okay. No, I hear you very well. You see, to answer your question, think of a country like Israel. Israel is a desert, but today Israel produces more food than many African countries combined. Where did they get that competitive advantage? Look at a country like Kenya. Kenya today is the 4th largest exporter of flowers in the world. That is in Africa. What gave them that advantage? Think about that. Look at a country like Holland. Holland is only about 16 million people. The total farming population in Holland is about 500,000 people. But Holland supplies almost all of Europe. Made them get that advantage. You see, the greenhouse technology has not been marketed to us a lot, and I have my own hypothesis is that people have not wanted us to have these solutions because I have a belief that the moment Africa becomes self-sustainable or food sustainable, then there are lots of things about the Western world that we will never need. And so many ideas and many secrets of development and how we can succeed, we don't get that. Today, a country like Nigeria that was solely dependent on oil is moving to agriculture, but it's almost already late. You see, so greenhouse technology is there. It has proven over time to have a lot of benefits. And to make you understand, the simple benefit of that is as simple as this. When I plant, one second. Okay, a simple analogy for you to understand is when I plant a tomato plant in a greenhouse farm, my tomato would grow about 6 meters in height. It would produce about 11 to 15 kilograms per plant for a period of 4 months. But if I planted outdoors, my tomato plant would only grow to about 1 meter and would only produce about 800 grams. So within the greenhouse, you're taking advantage of the vertical surface, so vertical growing. And that's an advantage. It is difficult to achieve vertical growing outdoors because of the numerous, physical disturbances. So there is wind, there is rain, there is thunder, there are animals, there are so many things that go wrong. So greenhouse farming is more specialized, it's more targeted. It enables you to minimize the losses that you may have. So in greenhouse farming, you don't have grass that grows, so you don't have grass that competes over food with your plants. You are able to pollinate your plants manually. So I can tell you that each tomato plant that I have in a greenhouse would give me 10 kilograms, and I get that. When you do that outdoors, it's just a random effect. You have to assume that, okay, pollination would occur and you can get this much. Within a greenhouse, another thing that you do is we have drip irrigation. So you water the plants at the point of the plant. You don't just water anywhere. So you minimize water use, and actually you focus the feeding to the plant itself. So there are so many advantages that you would have in a greenhouse than you would have outside. Also in a greenhouse, you can grow crops that are normally not grown in the country. And that's where we are making a big win in Cameroon today. Today, we are the largest producers of things like bell peppers, colored bell peppers, which are sold very expensive. And it is because they actually been imported. I focus on the things that have been imported, and we grow the same things here, and that's how we're able to beat now competition. We do that for things like strawberries, we do that for things like bell peppers, we grow things like spinach, we grow broccoli. So anything that has an importation value, we grow the same things, and we beat importation out of market. So those are, greenhouse farming has a lot of advantages. You just need to be able to understand the market, and you go for it. Another advantage that you have in greenhouse season, which means that
Roland, can you repeat that last advantage? You broke up, so we couldn't hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so I was saying that another advantage of the greenhouse farming is that I can grow in and out of season. Which means that, you know, when most people are dependent on seasonal crops, we do not have anything to do with seasonality. We just grow in and out of season, so I can supply to you from January to December at a fixed price. Whereas somebody who's growing outdoors is dependent on those price fluctuations, and it gives us a bigger advantage and a bigger leverage in the marketplace. So there are so many advantages to greenhouse farming, but you have to be able to focus those advantages on your own particular market. So if I am where you guys are, I would want to understand what is it that is being grown, what are the things that have been affected by seasonality, and how we can grow that. What are the things that are normally being imported, and how much do they sell for, and how can we grow for that and for that particular price.
Great, thank you. Genesis, did that answer your question?
Yeah, it does answer my question, you know. Thank you for that insight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Samuel or Mohammed or Farike or Zainab, did you guys have any other questions for him, even about his journey?
Yes, sir. Hello? Yeah. Mr. Roland,
Yes.
there is another question. You know, talking of greenhouse farming, we have varieties of crops and plants that can be planted. So what are the key primary plants that actually do thrive in greenhouse farming? Because I know that not all plants are being grown under the greenhouse farming. So what are the key plants actually? You know, I want to.
Yes. No. Any plant can grow in a greenhouse. Why? Because it depends on the climate that you want in the greenhouse. You see, the greenhouse came into development in the 15th century when the emperor at the time wanted crops during the winter season. So in the Western world, of course, greenhouses have heaters and they have cooling units like fans. So when it's winter, they use the heaters. When it's the summer, they use their cooling systems. You know, if you go to a place like Sudan, most of the greenhouses, they have fans. The advantage that we have, like in Cameroon, is that we are able to design our greenhouses to be oriented with the climatic conditions at the time. And that makes a lot of sense. So it depends. If you're growing a crop that is more of a cold crop, then you give it that cold environment. If it's a hot crop, you give it that hot environment. In places like South Africa, they even grow trees. Like you have banana trees that grow in greenhouses. You have oranges that grow in greenhouses. So you really can grow anything. It depends exactly on your market. Don't grow what your market doesn't need. You know, just look for what your market requires, and you can grow it, and you can adapt the greenhouse for any kind of production that you really need. So to be more specific, in Cameroon, we are doing more of hot climate crops. So any vegetable, any spices, celery, parsley. I don't know what you guys have there, but it should be the same. Tomatoes, cucumbers, bell peppers, cabbages, anything. We've grown over 40 different types of crops. But again, like I say, it just depends on the market. We grow specifically for the market. So if I am harvesting a tomato plant, a tomato fruit today, it already has a market. I don't grow anything that will not be sold. Anything that we are harvesting already has the market. So it leaves from our farms directly to the customer.
Any other questions?
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any additional questions? If not, I have one.
Okay.
Okay. So I know you're starting this school that you have right now. One of the questions that always comes up with this group is always like, how do you start a business with no financials, right? No funding. How did you start with, you know, like, did you have capital? Did you kind of raise capital? Did you just go for it? Like, what did you do to start?
Thank you for that question. It is a very important question, and my answer sometimes people don't get it, but I will try to be very explicit on that. And I think I've made these lectures on some of my live videos. Starting business, especially in Africa, it's not so much about capital. Everybody always goes towards capital, and they get distracted by trying to raise capital. And many businesses that, especially small and middle-sized business that start by raising capital never really get to make it for many reasons. I believe that the first thing you need to start a business is the right team. Focus on the team. The team will bring in the capital that you do need. It is always very important to get the right teams because people focus on raising capital, but you might end up, if you're alone, you might end up raising only the required amount of capital to get you started, but not enable you to grow. You see, that's why in Africa, for example, you find many businesses that have been existing for like last 30 years, and they are the same. They don't grow, simply because it's a sole proprietorship business. It is all on you, and you've just designed the business around you only. But when you start a business with a team, you are able to manage that team. You are able to grow with that team. Believe me, you are able to grow even a lot faster with that. And how do you start a business without capital, but with a team? When you have a team that everybody adds value to it, for example, myself, when I had the idea of moving into business, I had to look for a marketing person whom I would offer shares. I had to look for an accounting person whom I'll offer shares. I had to look for a legal person whom I'll offer shares. I had to look for an agronomist who I'll offer shares to. And with a team of 4, we were ready to go. And once we started now being able to attract capital. And that's how we've been able to grow to this very, very day. But I think it is the best way. The challenge with that is getting the right team. And I always tell people, once you have that team, then you now build on your social capital. We in Africa, we don't have venture capitalists, we don't have angel investors like you would have abroad. Many times we spend time trying to go after venture capital and all of that, and they would ask you from 50,000 needs, and you're never able to beat them up. And many people actually die out just in that fundraising phase. It is a true reality for so many people. I always say this: we already have social networks. We have a small and informed population. What do I mean by that? In Cameroon, we have 27 million people. The probability that you're easily known by everybody. If you can just build on your social network, you'll be able to meet up the expectations of them. So, for example, for us, we marketed ourselves a lot. We built a lot of credibility amongst our social network. And within that social network, we've been able to raise capital, but not only raise capital, 70% of our products, of our marketing is done on a platform like Facebook. And we have been able to sell just on that platform alone. And we've also been able to raise capital just from that platform alone. We've not raised money from any venture capital or angel investor or any of that. So I always say that in a place like Africa where so many
Sorry, Roland,
networks that so many people.
Can you go right back, please? You cut out. You said in a place like Africa, and then you cut out.
Yes, in a place like Africa, there are so many people who have money looking for good businesses, but they are unable to find them. And the problem also is, very few people believe in marketing their businesses for many reasons. There are some who are afraid of voodoo, some are afraid they will steal their business, some are afraid of things that they're never supposed to be afraid of. But believe me, there are people out there looking for good businesses to invest in, looking for businesses that are consistent. If you have a good business idea, build a repeatable platform, build a repeatable brand, build value, and believe me, you attract people who would be able to come to your business. I mean, a good example, Helen is right here. Helen and I, we've never met. Helen, I knew Helen through another friend of ours who said, hey, I know somebody who's out there who might be interested in what you have. And here we are today. You see, so, and that's how it goes. You need to be able to have a face value that stands out and stands up and be able to be very consistent with it and go from there. And once you have that, believe me, you'll be able to attract any funds, any market that you so do desire.
Thank you. That was very good.
Thank you.
I want to respect your time. So do you guys have any last questions? Make sure you get them in now because he's traveling. So. Go ahead, Samuel.
Yeah. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Roland. How are you?
I'm fine, my brother. Thank you.
Yeah. I just want to have some little question to ask anyway. As agri-business entrepreneur, right?
Yes.
In what way does farmer consider as entrepreneur in agri-business?
In what ways does the farmer consider an entrepreneur?
Yes, in agri-business.
So who is an agri-entrepreneur? Is that what you mean?
I think so.
I'm asking, in what way does farmer consider as entrepreneur in agri-business? How does farmer consider? Yeah. You get me?
Yeah, I get you. I think I understand your question. You see, the agriculture industry has been reduced to just cultivating crops and selling. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm getting.
Yes. I had this discussion the other day. It's unfortunate that in a place like Cameroon, you have more middlemen than actually farmers. So if I put out a request today that I need to buy cocoyams for all plantains, most of the people who reach out to me are not people who are producing, but there are people who sell on behalf of those who are producing. That is a very big problem because you have the farmer who works the most but earns the least in the value chain of their produce. And that's a big challenge. Where you become an entrepreneur is where you define your value, you define your place in that value chain, and you're able to make the returns from that position. What do I mean by that? An agri-entrepreneur would be that person who produces based on the price that they're going to sell. If you ask most farmers in Cameroon today, what is the cost of their production, they will not even know. The depreciation of their land, the time they spend on the farm, the cost of their seeds, the road from farm to market, the shelf life of their produce, they don't consider any of those things. And that's why farming in Africa as a whole is degenerating, because you have most farmers who are not educated enough to be able to size out the value of their harvest. As an entrepreneur, you need to be able to have that. And that's why, there is a many agro-entrepreneurs in that field, or make them even understand what agro-entrepreneurship or an entrepreneur in agriculture really is. Is that person who is able to define their position in the value chain of their product. So that person who understands how to market, how to sell, how to package, how to produce, how to do anything. For example, for us right now, we can produce tomatoes that are 100% organic. We can produce tomatoes that are 50%, that are 20%, that are 0% organic. It is based on the price that we want to sell, based on the market that we are selling to, and based on the shelf life. If you are producing to transport, that will be transported for the next 5 days, then you want to make sure that by the time your produce gets there, it is still as good and fresh as it has to be. So all of these things really take into consideration who an agro-entrepreneur is from a regular farmer.
Samuel, did that make sense to you? Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. We have time for just one more question, and then I know, Roland, you're driving, so we'll let you go.
I know, it's okay.
Okay. Any
Yeah,
last?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Mr. Roland. Want to know if can you consider agribusiness as a form of entrepreneurship?
Can I consider agribusiness?
As an entrepreneurship, yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know, it depends what you mean by agribusiness. Like I just said, if you are just somebody who is a farmer who just produces and somebody takes and sell, well, it is business, but I like to consider entrepreneurship as being different. If you are just somebody who buys from a farmer and sells, it's different. If you are somebody who buys from a farmer, transforms and sells, and then yes. So entrepreneurship is just that person who learns in between and is able to define their place in that value chain of that learning curve. As simple as that.
Samuel, did that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Just want to give Mohammed, Farike, and Zainab, did you guys have any last questions? Right. If not, thank you so much, Roland. I really appreciate your time. I know you're a very busy man. And you know, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to just talk to them today. Right now, the way the program kind of works is we're really trying to understand what entrepreneurship is. All of them are college students at the University in Sierra Leone. And they have a wide range of interests from agriculture. They're studying everything from like agroeconomics to, you know, IT, business development, engineering, agriculture engineering. And some of them have already, like Zainab has a business, Genesis is working on one, Samuel has a printing company. So they have these kind of like smaller scale businesses that they want to scale up. And they're really interested in figuring out what does that look like. And I think when we did an initial assessment. So there's really a group of small cohort of 18. Part of the challenge is really technology, getting online on weekends and getting access to internet, which becomes a challenge. But one thing we are learning through this process, and I wanted to make sure we included, is to talk to people like you who are agriculture or whatever sector entrepreneurs who have literally started from scratch and built their businesses, right? As an example of it's possible, it can be done locally, and that you're not really short of anything. So everything you said today really just kind of builds on top of what we've been talking about. The last two speakers, the last guy before you was Sylvester from Nigeria. He has a media and communications company, and he grew it from like just himself to now a 13, 14 people team. Then the guy before you, the guy that I connected you, Hassan, same thing, started from by himself in technology in Gambia to now being a pretty big team. And so these are really good examples of like local entrepreneurs who have done the work, which makes it say that they can do the work, right? And I'm trying to move away from this idea of you need financing immediately to start a business, right? You need value, you need to show value, you need to pilot, you need to do all these things that are within your scope of area, right? And that you can grow. And then today you might be, you know, printing one copy for someone. Tomorrow you might be the largest printing company in the country. And that's very doable. Like you said, it's easier to be a millionaire on the continent than it is in the US. As somebody who works in the US side and then also works on the Africa side, I do see the large gaps. And I also feel like a lot of people have this like ideal idea of America and all that's possible, but they don't recognize that there's nothing new here, right? Whereas on the continent, we have so many challenges and opportunities that there is something new every day. And someone as young and hungry as them in terms of like skill sets can really do it. So things can build that out. And yeah, and I think in the future, is it okay if any of them had additional questions or were interested in learning more about you and your work, could they email you? Is that okay?
Yes, Helen. First of all, I thank you for getting me on here. It is always a pleasure connecting with younger minds, entrepreneurs as well. We need a community of entrepreneurs to be able to beat the odds that we do face here. It doesn't matter if it's Sierra Leone, if it's South Africa, if it's Ghana. We are one big country. It's the white man that put all these boundaries around us. So we are one big, the successes you have in Sierra Leone, you can transfer them over here, and we would also enjoy of them. So I think we just need to keep finding many ways to collaborate on such platforms like what you're doing, Helen. So thank you so much. Being that you're all students, I'm very okay. I'm a lecturer on this end. I do quite a lot of things. So anyway, I could always be in touch with you. Any questions I could answer, anything, anywhere I can be of catalytic assistance, I would always try to make time for that. So just let me know. I'm right here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right,
yes,
guys.
And for those of you who want, I am on Facebook, Roland Formundam, on Twitter and LinkedIn. So anywhere you can always find a way to catch me if you need me personally.
Perfect. So I'm gonna I always follow up with I'll follow up with them on an email, and I'll share all your social media, your website link, as well as your email. So if they have any questions for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Helen.
You're welcome. Samuel, did you have something you want to add?
Not really. Not really. Just want to appreciate Mr. Roland for his sharing his successful link up to us. We really appreciate, and we want to say very big thanks to Mr. Roland. And in due time, hopefully we shall connect. Just want to have your email.
Okay, thank you.
And keep on the good relationship.
Thank you.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Well, thanks again, Roland. Have a good rest of your weekend, and thank you all. Obviously, we'll follow up next week, so I will send you guys emails. Have a great weekend, everyone. Enjoy your time with family, friends, and be safe and healthy.
All right, Helen. Thank you all. God bless you.
You too.
Amen.
Thank
God
you.
bless
you. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, thank you all, and take care.
Okay, so we'll just FYI, so we'll do the same time next week. We'll do 10 to 12 because it seems like it works better for you guys. I will follow up with an email, 2 emails actually. One email will have all of the information in terms of like last week and this week, the videos, recordings, and everything for the whole group. And then I will follow up a separate email just with those who attended today's session, focusing on the business plan, and just asking you guys to write your short business plan and send that back to me, okay? All right, thank you guys. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, thank you too.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. It's Ferenke. I don't know how I always destroy your name. I'm sorry. Okay, thanks, guys. Bye.